Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Mary, are we recording?
Yeah, I just started. I unfortunately didn't catch your opening announcement, but
Oh, no, pity. Not doing it again.
that's fine, I think.
The first RDA is 40, oh, I apologize. We do have meeting minutes for approval. Has anyone had a chance to read the August 17th meeting minutes? And does anyone want to make a motion?
I have not.
Yeah, I just sent them out this afternoon, so it was probably not enough time.
Okay, so I guess we will continue those meetings minutes until the next meeting. We don't have to vote on that, do we, Mary?
I don't think so.
Okay. So on to request for determination of applicability. The first one is 46 Bates Point Road. Dan, I believe you have something to read here.
Yes, I do. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, we have 3 RDAs, request for determination of applicability this evening. And the first one is 46 Bates Point Road in Webster. It is subject to determine whether an addition is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and local bylaw review. And that's all it says.
Do we have someone representing 46 Bates Point?
Who do I need for liquor?
It should be Stephen Balsavich. I'm surprised he's not online, although
I need stuff to make jolly shots.
Okay, so you need vodka?
Yeah, I'm gonna do.
Okay.
yeah, so he did say he was going to be on vacation in Montana, and I can't remember if it was this meeting or the next, so it's possible that the Wi-Fi in Montana is not working very good.
All right, so shall we just leave it aside for now and
Yeah,
next one, and we can see if he joins?
yep.
Okay. 97 Birch Island Road.
Did people know it was on a Thursday, our meeting? Maybe people were confused.
I sent everybody the link. So
So Dan, 97 Birch Island. Dan?
Hello, yes?
97 Birch Island.
In accordance with the information I previously read, the second item is an RDA for 97 Birch Island Road, and it's to determine whether repairs due to a house fire are subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and the local wetlands bylaw.
So is there anyone on the meeting for 97 Birch Island Road?
we may want to look at this one anyway.
Okay.
I know, let's see, why don't I pull it up? Give me just a minute here. And someone did just join. We have a few people coming on. All right, so 97 Birch Island Road. They had a fire. And so they need to do a lot of repair work. And therethere's a lot of damage. So all right. So Dan, I'm gonna mute you because of the TV.
I can mute.
All right. Okay, so here we have one side of the house. As you can see, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It is mainly on the house though. They may need to do a little bit of excavation around that corner where it was burnt, but it won't be much at all, really. So they're mainly having a dumpster here. That's kind of the main issue. We may just want to talk to them. This is kind of the lake shore right here, and they have some retaining walls, kind of just with sand that ideally should be planted with grass, but that's not what they came before us for.
And Mary, in looking at that last picture, which side of that is the lake side?
So the lake is behind me. So these are like docks.
Oh, that's the end of the dock right there?
Yeah, that's the end
Bottom
of the
left
dock.
corner? Okay,
Yeah. And then you turn around, this is the lake here.
okay.
And there's those retaining walls. So I think mainly, I'm not sure if I did send the link to this woman, but I think the main thing we need to say is that, you know, for her dumpster needs to be covered. Obviously, they're going to be doing a lot of interior work. They got to clean the old stuff out, but I don't think it's a huge project. I think we can approve it probably without talking to them.
Yeah.
You're
How far back from the water is the front of that building?
So if you can just see the water right here, Dan, way over in the corner.
Yes,
So I would say, I don't know, maybe, and then here you're standing, maybe it's about 50 feet. And so this is where the damage is, right kind of in this corner back there where they've got the tarp and stuff. So yeah, perhaps we want to have them, I don't really think it's necessary for a silt fence. I don't think they need a silt fence, but
and on the side where you can see the fire damage where the shingles are,
yeah.
yeah, are they simply going to replace the shingles on that side or do something else, or what's their plan there?
Yeah, no, I think they're definitely putting siding on, and they may be siding the whole house. I think there's just a lot of damage. So certainly, yeah, one of the conditions we would have would be the cutting of synthetic materials. Yeah, maybe we should ask again, is anyone on the call here for 97 Birch Island? Okay.
Okay, apparently not.
I don't, yeah. Okay, if we look at the RDA. So there's a whole bunch of stuff which talks about the damage to the house and what they need to do, but it's mainly work on the house. It's not really excavation. So here we go, electrical, plumbing, thermal envelope. You're gonna put insulation in.
Maybe.
They're gonna redo some of the framing. So it is a fair bit of work, but I don't think it's gonna impact the lake. There's also Oh, that's just what we're looking at. This shows the kind of the footprint and what they're doing. And their pictures.
Terrible.
Yeah. And problems in the crawl space. So
Yeah, there's a lot of damage outside and inside also.
yeah, there is. Yep. Well, yeah, some of it just maybe just junk, but yeah, a lot of damage.
Okay.
So there will be a dumpster.
And I wasn't able to actually read that information that was on, that explained all the issues and the things that they had to replace. But are they rebuilding in kind, or are they going to make improvements this time, or what's their plan?
Oh, I think it's the same. They're not adding on or anything. They're just trying to fix it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess,
Mary, you don't think they need any kind of protection in the back near the, where they walk down to the docks?
it looks in the back, it's like a patio area that's fairly flat, and then it slopes down, then it slopes down a little toward the dock. Is that correct?
Yeah, so
Yep.
this deck is really pretty big. It's at least 20 feet. So you have the
Oh.
deck. So I really don't think you need anything.
Right.
I'm sorry, I was looking at this picture and it doesn't look that big.
Right.
Way.
Maybe might be a plot plan here in their things. Well, here you can here's looking at the deck from the other side.
Oh, yeah, it looks bigger there.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I think it's a large deck. It's like literally half the yard. The deck is. The deck is probably bigger than this area here, which isn't very big.
Okay, so, no, I don't think they need anything.
If you want, I can pull up the GIS. We can look at the.
No, I'm fine. I'm
Okay.
fine. You don't think there needs to be, and if it's 20 feet,
Uh,
I get it.
My,
Yeah.
my biggest concern is, they're gonna be pretty much rebuilding a significant part of the house, or whatever the cottage, whatever it is. Are they gonna need a stockpile area and the things that would go with that, or it's kind of hard to tell from the picture, on the street side.
You're right. They don't have a lot of room here.
Right.
It's a small lot. I guess, I don't think they would be necessarily stockpiling dirt or anything.
No, but I mean,
But they
bringing
would
in
be-
materials and they're going to be cutting a lot of wood and so on.
Yeah, but they certainly might need to stockpile wood and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Maybe maybe you'd like a condition that any materials would not be stored on
On the lake.
between the house and the lake. Like they shouldn't
Right.
be storing stuff on the deck.
Yep.
yeah, as far as the work to repair it, I don't see any problem with that. They're away from the water. There's a flat area there before it slopes down to the water. They should be okay.
Yeah. So we'll say no storing materials between the house and the lake.
Right, you know, the typical requirements, do the
Yeah.
cutting away from the water, so on.
Yeah,
I'd also like the spill kit condition just in case there's equipment. Doesn't seem
Yeah.
like there would be, but
well, yeah, they know you're right. That's a good idea. Spill kit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And if nobody else has any additional questions, I would recommend a negative determination on this IDA with the provisions that they have a spill kit and cutting would be of the framing, cutting and stuff would be done away from the lake side of the house.
I second that.
We have to vote.
All right. Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. 65 Wawila.
And 65 Wawela is the third RDA that I mentioned, and it is to determine whether an extension to an existing deck is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and local wetland bylaw. I might mention that it says extension to a deck, but the deck is actually more of a wooden walkway down to the water, down to the dock.
Do we have anyone on the conference call for 65 Wawila?
Michelle, when you talked to him, was he there for the site visit, Michelle?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I asked him if he was going to join the meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I talked to him too.
So it's me, Mary, because Joey's not chairing tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary, just so you know, when we talked to him, the holes for the piles to support the deck will be hand dug. It's on a slope,
Mm-hmm.
but they're back a ways from the water. So we suggested they put some erosion controls below the deck area where the work would be done, and that they probably do some extra staking to make sure it follows the contours of the land because it's a little uneven there. But if it's hand dug, there should be no problem there with that at all.
My only concern on this one was if we put in erosion controls, are we actually causing more harm than good? Because it's a naturally vegetated area. They're not going to dig up any vegetation. They're not going to mess with anything. And there's ground cover and there's leaves and there's lots of bushes. And I know when you put in wattles, you do a lot of digging.
Right, in that picture, you can see that big tree on the left side, that's going to stay. They're going to build a deck around that tree, but the shrubbery to the right of that tree would have to be removed. And Michelle's correct, we did say it might do more harm to dig below that tree to put in a silk curtain and dig it into the ground than it would be to just make sure a wattle is properly located there. That there should not be too much in the way of erosion to contain. So they're not going to bring any equipment in or anything like that.
Yeah, it would seem like if you had just had a wattle, which would be staked in and doesn't require digging, that would be
Yeah.
sufficient.
So I'm not really sure what we want to do with this one.
As- yeah, it's a slope, but you're looking at the picture at the top of the walkway. You can kind of tell from the picture, it's quite a long ways down to the water level from there. And this deck is probably halfway down. There's stairs going down, then a small landing, and then more stairs going down. The deck will be at the same level as the landing.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
see here
There's-
pretty well.
Yeah, there's really a landing, a small landing right in the middle of that walkway. And that's where the deck would be.
Yeah. So you guys think maybe a straw wattle just along here, or Michelle, you're thinking it's not even necessary? You just be careful with digging his holes.
It might be okay with this, just a straw wattle, because there's no digging, right? You just stake it in.
Yeah, you just stake it in.
I think that would be fine. I just
Okay.
don't want to see him dig everything up to put in erosion controls.
I agree. That's a good point there. Oh, he does give a measurement. Deck is 20 feet from the lake.
Any more, any more comments?
Yeah, this one seemed pretty simple. I think he had the number of holes he was gonna dig. Let's see, 12. Well, that is a significant number of holes, so 12 holes.
So would you, well, normally on this kind of project, we'd ask them to draw in the straw wattles, wouldn't we?
Yeah, for a notice of intent we would, but since this is an RDA, I think I could condition, add it to the,
The
not the
condition?
road. Yeah, I could just add it that straw wattle to be installed between, deck and water, wrapping, we can give a length since he has a length that's 14 feet,
Okay.
maybe I don't know, you want to say like 20 foot or 25 foot long wattle to kind of go around the deck.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay.
Yeah, works for me.
And I don't know whether you want to have me inspect it before he starts work or not.
Yes, I think so. Because he was a little ishy,
Yeah. Sure.
so it'd be nice to know that the plan is sorted out. He's picked a contractor, the walls are in.
Yeah, just so you know, Mr. Kaczmarek, you to say that as far as when the work would actually be done, it really depended on when he could find somebody, a contractor, to do it. And everybody's very busy, so it will happen. It could happen this fall, but it may not happen until next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, we have someone waiting.
Okay, is there anything else on this one?
I have nothing.
I think just, I don't remember if I talked about the materials for the deck, but the cutting should take place on the
Pressure treated, he said.
did he say pressure treated? Okay.
Yes.
So do you guys still, would you like the cutting to take place in the driveway?
Yes, it's good practice.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so I guess I will entertain a motion for this one, 625 Wawila.
I will make a motion to, for a negative determination for 65 Wawila.
Thanks, Hayden. I need a second
Second,
and second.
Okay, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
Robin,
Yes,
Michelle.
Yes.
Okay.
So we haven't gotten Steve for 46 Point, correct?
Yeah, is anyone here for 46 Bates Point Road? We probably better, well, we can wait and see if he shows up, but maybe he's on Montana time.
We could be done before he wakes up then.
I know.
Okay, do we have to vote for a continuation on Hudworth,
Yes.
New England Auto Auction? Could I have a motion to continue New England Auto Auction to November 9th?
I'll make the motion to continue New England Auto Auction till November 9th.
I second,
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
Robin,
yes,
Michelle.
Yes. So Mary, I'm gonna go a little out of order and do the other continuation so we can just clean it up.
Yeah, sure.
Could I would like to move for 23 Claybart Ave to continue to November 9th. Will someone make that motion?
I'll make the motion to continue 23 Claybert Ave until November 9th meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Robin,
yes,
Michelle.
Yes. Okay. 137 Gore Road. This is Twisted Piston.
We have Bruce here now, and I guess Dan needs to read the announcement.
oh, okay, we, also in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, this public hearing will be held on a notice of intent filed by Twisted Piston for site stabilization and stream restoration at 137 Gore Road in Webster, Mass.
Okay. So you're not Brandon. Come on.
No, sorry, I'm an imposter. Yeah, this is Bruce Webb. I'm standing in for Brandon this evening.
Hi, Bruce. You want to tell us what's going on?
So there was some unpermitted work took place at 137 Gore Road. In behind the building of the business, there was a stream that was rerouted, some slope work done. That was noticed and reported, and there was notice of violations sent out. It took a little time, but we got there in the end, and we have submitted an as-built notice of intent. Yeah, there's the plan, thank you. And so, yeah, as it says, pretty much site stabilization, stream restoration, restore the stream to channel, and it's really the lion's share of what took place. So, oh, good evening. No, okay. So is there any particular details anybody would like me to address, or?
So I think one of the things we talked about on site Saturday was that the grade on the plan and the grade in reality are different. Is that still true? I assume this is the same plan?
Yes, that is the, let's see, the date on that, revision 1. And there was only one revision on that plan, correct? Yeah, yeah, that is the correct plan.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I might say, looking at the site, you can see the plan there now. On the right-hand side of the slope where that letter H is. And from there to a little to the left, the slope is steeper than it is shown on that plan. But a lot of time has passed. The slope has re-vegetated pretty well. It's a very bony soil. There's a lot of stone in that slope. And over the time that this issue has been going on, there's no evidence that even though the slope is even though the slope is steeper than shown on the plan, there doesn't seem to be any erosion down into the parking area. So it seems to be stabilized at this point, even though it is not as shown on the plan.
We were also told on Saturday that 15 feet of pipe were removed from the end. I think back one of the times we looked at it, there was actually pipe catching some water and moving it along, and now it's more of a natural stream. Some of that pipe was taken out.
correct, yeah, there was a perforated pipe that had been in place and that was removed and it's now just stone.
Okay. And one thing that was a little unclear on Saturday, and I didn't think of it at the time, is there still a plan to put the line of boulders in the back of the shop? I know when you look at it, there's some stone at the very bottom of the hill. And there was going to be some boulder movement back there, and I'm unclear whether that's still going to happen.
So with your approval, he would like to place boulders at the bottom of the slope. Taken from the top, move to the bottom.
And that would be in front, closer to the street than the current, like, there's a little stone path. Mary, I think there's a picture.
Okay,
Plans to put them right at the base of the hill. Right at the base of the slope, stabilized slope.
is it one of these pictures, Michelle?
No, I think it's one that I took. It's
Oh.
not pretty like the ones that you take.
Oh, no, let me
What?
see.
I think there were only like three pictures I took. It's got the back end of a 4x4 in it. And I think the back of Brandon's jacket. Yeah, right there is part of it. See how there's all this stone? This is at the very bottom of the slope.
Okay.
There, that's a better picture of it probably. So I mean, in my head, I put the boulders closer to the truck.
So the boulders are not going to go on the gravel, is that right? That's the point. They're going to go like in this area here.
I don't know. Chris, do you know?
Well, I believe he wanted to place them on the stone strip.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember him saying, that crushed stone is right at the base of the slope, and he wanted to put it right there, right there.
And the boulders are coming off the hill?
So as kind of a wall at the base of the slope, you might say. And in some ways, it's a good idea because in a couple of cases, it was obvious that vehicles were backed onto that crushed stone, which has the perforated pipe about a foot down. So if those stones were placed there and prevented that, that would probably be a benefit.
Michelle, did you guys go up to the top of the slope, Michelle?
No.
So this is a picture of the top of the slope, and Dan and I did when we met out with DEP. We all trudged up there. There are a ton of boulders up there, but they are near the stream. There's just a ton of boulders just sitting around, and the slope is like, I don't know, maybe 20 feet from the stream or something. Well, you can see it on the plan, but
They
Yeah.
are up on the sort of top of grade near the stream, but they're not affecting the stream itself.
Yeah. Right now, there is a pile of rocks, boulders, what have you, that are in the parking lot over toward the corner of the garage. And those were the ones that Justin said he would be using to place them along the bottom of the slope, if that was okay with us.
So you're saying they're not coming from the slope, they're already down
Yeah,
somewhere?
right. In that picture there, the bottom picture, you can see a white truck. There's a pile of rock behind that truck.
oops, like right in here.
Yeah, right in there.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm explaining here is that from what Justin said, any boulders placed at the base of the slope would come from that pile behind the truck, and there would be no more disturbance up on top of the slope.
Okay.
So is that to say that, yes, he can use the stone material that's already on the level parking area, but you don't want him taking stone material from upslope? Is that correct?
The slope itself and the area above it has revegetated pretty well. I think it would be not a benefit to go up there and disturb it all again and start over.
Right. If he had an excavator, something that had an articulated arm that could actually pluck those without going on the grade itself, would that be something that would be acceptable to the commission? So, minimize any impact of removing that stone.
It's not something we discussed, but if he could remove, there are some rather large stones at the top of the slope. As you said, they're not right on the edge, they're back a little bit. If he could pick those up and use those down at the parking level without disturbing the slope or anything, personally, I don't know what anybody else thinks. I think that probably would be okay, as long as he wasn't making things worse again.
Right.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If he can pluck them versus hauling up and down there, I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Alrighty. And any other questions or concerns anybody would like to field?
So one of the things that we discussed on Saturday as well, and I'll share with the other commissioners and with Mary, is that currently the way they plow the snow from this site, they plow it away from the edge of the stream and up toward where the back of the lot is.
So that will no longer be the case. The snow will not be stored adjacent to the stream. So,
Okay.
The
yeah,
way Justin explained it is that in the future, snow would be plowed from the street eastward. If you look at that bottom picture that's on the screen now, on the very left side, you can see some steel beams laying on the ground there. The snow would be plowed up into that area there and not northward like it used to be, which was right over to the edge of the stream. Yeah, it used to be plowed over to that area there. And he said that will not happen anymore. And not by him anyway. He couldn't speak for the town. And that, to me, again, speaking for myself, pushing the snow toward the back of the lot rather than the side of the lot is acceptable.
But do we want that on a plan, or do we want to condition that?
I think it's easy enough to make that as a condition.
I think that should be a condition that the snow will be plowed in that direction.
Okay.
I wonder, where's the plan? So, Dan, is it fair to say we can maybe reference the plan and say that, is it all going to go even over here in this, like directly behind the garage, or do you think some of it will be here?
We did not talk about removing snow from behind the building.
Okay.
Be honest, I kind of assumed he'd plow it, looking at the plan to the right, toward over in that direction.
Right.
It would be difficult to go behind the building and plow it in any other direction, probably.
But it would be okay for him. I'm just trying to figure out like what I could write down, like.
Yeah, from the building toward the left is what he was talking about. And
Like
then
in this area.
Yeah, and then from the street to going up on
Like
the left-hand side, on the left, yeah, over there.
Okay.
So that the snow in the parking area to the left of the building on the plan would be pushed toward the back of the lot rather than the side of the lot.
Yeah, maybe it would be helpful, even if although it's kind of difficult to do, but maybe Bruce, you could help this, even if we just pencil in like a circled area, just so we have something to reference on the plan that Justin agrees to. So I think that would be helpful, actually.
Okay, so just to be clear, you would like a area for snow storage penciled into the plan, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, we will have a look at that.
So Mary, do you have any observations as far as the stabilization of that slope?
I did not actually look at this one very carefully.
Oh.
So I did not. Yeah, it as Dan was saying, I have been there before. I did not stop by recently, but yeah, the slope is, we had been asking him to put jute cloth on, but at this point it would be hard because of the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, did you guys recommend a seed mix for there at all, or no? Or did you decide to just leave it?
I honestly don't know if that was seeded or just came back naturally. I can find that out.
No, I'm pretty sure it just came back naturally. I'm not sure if whether it's thin and whether it needs a little bit more seed or.
It has that natural look. I mean, the coverage in those most recent photos looked pretty solid.
Let's see. There they are. Yeah, there's a lot of stones and stuff, but yeah. Yeah, I get the vegetation is reasonable.
Yeah, as we observed on Saturday, it's not pretty, but it
Right.
seems to be functioning pretty well.
Right.
And I know in one of our previous visits there, Fred was concerned about the walls of the bank of the stream up gradient was he felt like it was caving in, and I asked Brandon if he had looked at it and had any concerns, and he did not.
Okay. Well, this one does not have a DEP number yet, Michelle, so we can discuss it more, but probably should hold off on,
Closing the public hearing.
yeah.
Okay.
And especially since, well, anyway, DEP may want to, because they were involved in asking him to do this notice of intent. We'll see what kind of input they have.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from the commission? Do we have anybody from the public that has a question or comment on this one? So quiet tonight.
Hmm.
So, Mary, do we want a motion for an order of conditions, or do we want to hold off on that pending closing the public hearing?
I think we need to, yeah, wait on that until, so I think we need a motion to continue.
I'll make the motion to continue.
I second.
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes. Okay, so we will continue that. And how do we pick a date on that one, Mary?
It just goes to, well, if we think, we'll just try for November 9th and we'll see if DEP comes with their number before then. Hopefully they will.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Bruce, for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much to the commissioners, and yes, thanks for your time.
Take care. Okay, so I believe that brings us to 37 Wakefield.
Yeah, we had Stephen Balsavich log on for a minute, but then he disappeared. So
Do we have, Dan, do you have to say something about 37 Wakefield or no?
no, because it's
No.
continued. So
I believe where we left that last time was that Mr. and Mrs. Coombs were needed to speak to a contractor about exactly what they wanted to do there.
Yep. And do we have anyone on this meeting for 37 Wakefield?
yeah, when I last talked with them, they weren't sure if they were going to be ready, and I did not hear from them again. So
So do we want a motion to continue this one?
I make a motion that we continue 37 Wakefield Ave, waiting for more information.
I'll second that motion.
Hold on, we're coming.
all right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes. Okay, so do we want to hold on for 46 Bates Point, or do we want to continue that one as well?
Let's just hold on to see if he manages to get back on.
Okay, no worries. We're going to move on to discussion items.
Yes, it looks like we have someone here for 16 Pattison.
Okay, 16 Patterson Road.
Yes, my name is Al Galla, Galla Simon Associates. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So my name is Al Galla from Galla Simon Associates, here to represent Carolyn and Raymond Fritz on their project at 1620 Patterson Road. So this project apparently was in front of the commission back in May, June, and Mr. Davis Verdudo from Wetlands Identification presented to you plans for this project. Subsequently, there was a request by DPW to provide soil testing information and inverts in more detail on the engineering of the project. So we performed the soil tests back in August on the property. You can see each parcel has a test hole. So we did that. Basically, there was 12 inches of some fill. We went down into the original top and subsoil at 24 inches. And then we went down to 95 inches in depth. We did find water at elevation 477.7, which basically agrees with the elevation of the lake on the back of the property. There are no signs of modeling. So based on that, we generated a HydroCAD computer model for stormwater of the property. The property prior to the development had one house basically with gazebo, garage, driveway. All of that is to be raised. And then we generated the amounts of runoff on existing conditions, and we modeled the stormwater system to maintain the levels of pre-development for the 2-year and the 10-year storm. So what the commission can see on the bottom of those driveways are trench grates, which was part of the original proposal by Wetlands Identification. Each one of those grates goes into a sump box, which basically collects any sediment, salting activities in the driveway before it actually enters the stormwater system. Now, stormwater systems, there's one for each lot. They consist of Caltech chambers, which are basically infiltration chambers, and they basically allow the water to be stored temporarily and infiltrate slowly into the soil. So both of these systems were designed up to the 10-year storm event. We also set the elevations of the basement to be more than 2 feet above the groundwater elevation. And we're also providing sump pumps if necessary, which I doubt will be necessary, but just in case it's some unexpected event on the project. So the grading, it was surveyed, detailed surveyed. So these are actual elevations. And we attempted to provide positive drainage away from the houses, following also the same principles that Wetlands Identification did, which establishes a high point between the 2 houses and shedding water to the back and to the front. So that's the basic design. We have also details on sheet number 2 of these systems. There's also there's a detail of the trench of the sump box. The Caltech chambers, there are 2 models. One is deeper than the other. As the land grades off. So we use the shallower ones. And there's also a detail for a roof overflow, roof leader with downspout overflow. So that's that. I'm available to answer any questions the commission might have on the design.
I have a question. Do the downspouts in the rear of the houses on the lakeside, do they connect with these Caltech systems or not?
They do not connect to it. There's only a partial roof of each dwelling is connected to the Caltech systems. The rear downspouts go on splash pads.
And then this was really the only changes to the plan was using the Caltech systems instead of what he had proposed. And it sounds like that you brought the elevation of the houses up a little bit from what they were.
Yes, I believe the original plan from wetlands identification was based on a GIS. Was not an actual survey.
Right.
This is the actual survey, and I noticed that it kind of correlates the same way. There's a difference of 2 feet there between the two plans. But it's basically the same thing. It's where they have 484 between the buildings, we have about 486. It's basically the same thing.
Okay, Michelle, just as a reminder, we had asked Ms. Fritz to have the engineer come and talk about it. And this was going to be just a minor modification with the updated plan.
Okay. So your question about the downspouts, that's from the original plan?
Yeah, the original plan, this is the new plan. I can pull up the original probably. Take me a minute here to find it. So we can see what looks different. So that was that. I mean, we approved what I guess the original plan did not mention the downspouts. It looks like, and it had the everything going into these kind of
Crushed stone.
yeah.
I believe it's a crushed stone bed. There's really no actual detail of those.
Right.
Yeah. So once those downspouts hitting a splash pad means they're gonna hit cement and then just go into the grass. or
Well,
into the lake.
they could also go into a crushed stone apron to dissipate some of the energy. We try to keep the slopes as shallow as possible. You might notice in the back of number 16, we have somewhat of a large swale there to convey the water also. So that's what we're working with, trying to flatten out the site. And yes, crushed stone apron or concrete pad will work also for the downspouts.
But that dissipates the energy. But then I guess I'm looking at 20 where it says the downspout splash pads. What is that? Like,
A splash pad is basically a small concrete pad. It can be plastic also.
yeah, that's not what I meant. So that once off the splash pad, is it going into grass?
It goes onto the grass, yes.
I'm trying to figure out, Mary, how far away from the lake it is. I guess there's a wall.
Those rear downspouts, how much of the roof is serviced by those downspouts?
I would say about 30% of the roof, each roof it goes into the infiltration system. 60% does not.
So 60% is going to end up in the grass?
Yes. And the grass and also on the roadway, on Patterson Road.
And the driveways, though, they also go into the Cultex, right? So the Cultec is handling the driveways and then 30% of the roof.
Approximately, yes.
Yeah. The Cultecs seem like they're pretty large. Is it possible to root some of the roof drainage into them or not?
Well, we take a conservative approach on the design of these systems. Some engineers use percolation tests. We use the Rawls method, which is very conservative. So we are assured that this will work. I would not want to overload the system by connecting more downspouts than what our numbers say that they can handle. Of course, if you would want us to connect those downspouts to the system, we can certainly do that with the understanding that they will be overflowing on a more frequent basis.
I'm not the stormwater calc guy for the conservation, but I feel uncomfortable with 60% of the roof going into the grass and onto the road. Am I the only commissioner looking at it that way?
I have a related question, and that was, I think, Mr. Gallo, at the beginning, you said that this change was in response to concerns from the DPW?
Yes.
And does this change, have you spoken to them? Does this change satisfy them?
I have not heard from them, sir. I do have a copy of an email here from back in April that they're basically looking for a design and test bits for this project.
Right. So basically, what we're looking at is the Kotex take care of the runoff on the driveways, and the roof runoff is going into gutters and downspouts.
Yes, it basically is in driveways in their entirety and a portion of the roofs. Exactly.
A small, one section of the roof.
A section of roofs, exactly. And this is based on comparison between the existing, what was there before, basically,
right.
How much water is going into it. And that's what we're modeling this against. And even though those downspouts are going on to the grass not being infiltrated, in our calculations, we do show that for the 2-year and the 10-year storm, with this design, there's still a reduction on the amounts of runoff and volumes coming out of the site.
The plan on the screen is a little small for me to be reading it, but can you tell me what the distance is from the house on the left to the water? How much lawn there is there?
One second. To the wall is what you'd like to know? It's about
Yes.
Number 20 on the left is about 40 feet to the wall.
40 feet.
And on the right of the house, it's about 30.
Mhm. Okay. And once again, Mr. Gallo, at the beginning, what was the DPW's concern just with the runoff on the driveway? Running into the street, was that their issue?
No, they're looking for soil tests to evaluate. There was no soil testing done on the project previous to this.
Right.
So we did the soil testing back in August. Their concern was the groundwater table elevation.
Ah, right.
And to maintain at least 2 feet from the bottom of these systems to the groundwater.
Okay.
Now, in the rear, I know there had been kind of a hill there before, but I think most of the hill is going to be removed. So is there going to be a big elevation drop from the kind of the the grade of the house go into that wall, or is it going to be relatively flat?
It's going to be pretty much flat.
Okay.
So on number 20, the top, the first floor is at 489, and then you go on to a deck, 488.66. You have a few steps down to 485. So it's relatively flat, and there's a 485 contour near the wood deck there. We're tying into the existing grades, basically. There are a few steps, so the houses are kind of elevated. They're elevated, stay out of the water table too.
And the top of the wall is at about 483. Is that what I'm reading on the plan here?
Yes, about 483, that's correct.
Okay.
So if it rains really hard, you're gonna create a small pool.
Well, hopefully not. We'll be going from 485 to 483. It's 2 feet and 40 feet. It's not that steep. I would think the water will probably go over the wall.
That's not a good thing. That's my concern right there, that the water goes over the wall and doesn't percolate. And given some of the contractor dirt I've seen in some of these construction projects, nothing percolates.
Well,
If
there should be, the grade of the lawn in the rear should be 3 to 6 inches below the top level of the wall. So it would take an awful lot of water flowing before it would go over the wall.
Michelle, I don't know whether this helps. I happen to be out at 16 Pattison for another reason. He's already, working. He's got, I think this is not number 20. This would be the other house. He's got it all formed out and ready to pour the footing. And so I was talking to him about the soil, and the soil is pretty sandy, actually, especially on this side. Let's see if I have other pictures. On this side, it wasn't quite as sandy. This is the back, which he needs to fix.
I don't recall any new construction where 60% of the roof just drains onto the lawn. I feel like we tie in downspouts and do all kinds of other things to prevent that.
Well,
And
like I said, we can revise the plan and connect the downspouts to the infiltration systems. I think the elevation will allow that. If that's the only concern of the commission, we can certainly do that.
Are your Cultex sized to handle the 60%?
They're not. They're not as they are right now. They're not sized for that, according to our numbers. But there will be an overflow on the downspout in the front, preferably. So if it does get overloaded, it will just go up to the street, not going to the lake.
Personally, looking at this, it would seem preferable to me that those Cultex have the capacity to handle at least part of the water runoff from the roof. That if there's going to be Cultex there in the first place, might as well make use of them. And but as you're saying, that would probably require slightly bigger Cultex.
Well, it certainly depends. If we're designing it for the 10-year storm, we'll require probably doubling up on the size of the Cultex to handle that amount of impervious area.
Other than the cost of the additional size, would that cause any other issues that you're aware of?
Well, We have water lines and sewer lines coming in the front of the building,
Uh-huh.
so we have to work around those. That's the only issue I can see is other utilities, interference with other utilities.
Yeah, it looks like there would be room to get around that. Excuse me,
I mean,
you'll
we
have to
could,
excuse me for a minute.
It's hard to tell if Dan was mid-thought.
Yeah. So Michelle, I think maybe what you're trying to think about is it's hard for us to compare because we don't have Fred here.
Yes.
You know, typically I think for a house this size, the Cultec systems are slightly bigger, but it does depend on the storm, and we don't know what Fred typically looks at, whether it's the 2-year storm or the 10-year storm, to figure out what the adequate size is.
Yep, you've pegged it. And to say, the 60% number just strikes my gut as pretty high for what we're used to.
Michelle, I want to say I think he says he usually uses a 1 or a 2-inch storm per hour.
so that, that 1 or 2-inch storm, that would be more, it's a different type of storm event that we use. We're basically using the Cornell study, which is 10-year storm is 4.76 inches in 24 hours. The 2-year storm is 3.2 inches in 24 hours. So it's a spread out event in 24 hours.
So it's
Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to do that off memory. I'm not sure offhand.
We were under the understanding that we were actually doing more than what was previously required by wetlands identification by doing this. But sounds to me that the commission will be looking for more infiltration than we are proposing.
Well, I guess maybe, Michelle, what do you think if we request that Fred, really take a look at this? Because I'm not sure that he has, and see what he thinks, or what do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I would feel better with that. I guess in my head, having moved whatever that stone pit was, we're just hitting the lawn. So if Fred could do his math and tell us what he thinks, I would feel better. I guess we all need to learn the math.
Yeah.
I agree.
So hopefully what we can do is, at least maybe I can give Fred a call or something, take care of this without the engineer having to come back. But so if Fred thinks it's okay, we leave it as is. If Fred thinks, well, yeah, maybe they should make the Cultecs a little bit bigger, then we can have the engineer come back. Does that sound reasonable?
I'm certainly willing to come back if necessary. So
Yeah, I think it makes sense to run it by Fred and then potentially ask Mr. Geller to come back.
Yeah.
And I apologize that we don't have Fred here with us today. And
well, that's quite all right. So I'll expect to hear then from you as far as what the outcome is and what we have to do. And I assume that maybe will be on the agenda for the next, in 2 weeks from now for discussion of this again.
Yeah, so the next meeting date is November 9th, which is a Monday. Yeah, our typical meeting day is a Monday, so we will see if we can get back to you before then. And I think I've been communicating through Caroline Fritz, but if you want to, you can get my email off the website. You can just shoot me your email if you want to save steps. Either's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, commissioners. And I hope to hear from you soon then.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay. I think we're on 76 Union Point.
Yes, and I believe I saw that Linda was on. And I'll try to pull up the pictures for her.
Hello, Mary. I am here. I'm having a little trouble with my microphone on my computer, so I'm using my phone. But can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey, you okay?
Okay.
Okay, so let me get this share going here. So if you guys remember, we were here relatively recently, but one of the things that was kind of left up in the air was the back slope at her house. And so she has a lot of ideas about what she'd like to do, but it needed to go before the commission. And let me get to the pictures of the back slope. Here we are. Here's one picture. And here's another one. Okay, maybe this is the best picture to start with. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah. So I guess now I did give you like a drawing. Do you have that?
Oh, let me see if
drawing?
I've got that.
So here's the issue: is that on that banking, and I don't know if you have a good picture of it. No, that's not the drawing.
That's not
It's
the
another
drawing.
one, like an elevation drawing. Maybe I could share my screen and bring it up if I can get,
Let me see
technology.
if
Is not a strong point, but I think I might be able to do that. But if you go back to that picture, so there was some erosion problems there, and then there was, so here's the top. This is that's the backyard. That's kind of a side view. And then okay, so here, what I would like to do is there's some boards up there that are basically no longer serving their purpose, holding that up. The stones on the extension of this wall have loosened up. But if you were to go to the right of that, and I don't know if you have a good picture of that, there we go. So at the top of the banking are two old stumps, and underneath those stumps is where the banking's kind of like eroding. So what I would like to do is take out those two stumps. Yeah, remove those two stumps and basically make that a more gradual slope down and extend that, that if you go back to that other picture of the stone wall where it's kind of coming apart, right? Extend this out more and up higher to hold that part of the bank, and have like a gradual slope on the other side. With actually what I'd like to do is put a walk, like a path that kind of like a V-shaped path with a couple of stairs coming from the top of the, yes, exactly, like that.
Linda, did you
And-
send this plan to me on an email? Because if you did, then I can probably pull it up.
Yes, it would have been, I would have emailed it to you, Mary.
Okay.
And it's like an elevated drawing. It's not exact, but it's like a rendition of what I'm kind of looking to do. So, and I want to do it in as minimalistic a way as I can. I'm expecting that when they pull out those stumps, that the top of that banking, we can kind of like move it down and make the slope more gradual than it is, which would allow for like a little pathway with maybe a couple of stairs, you know, stone stairs or something to kind of walk down and turn, and like a meandering pathway.
And looking at this picture, that stone wall is just out of view to the left. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
And you'd like it extended over to the right some more? How
Yeah.
far over were you talking about?
Well, let me see. I think I can share my. Did you find that drawing? It's about. I think it's about 10 feet, 10, 12 feet, something.
Let me
like
see if I can invite you to share your screen.
All right.
Figure that out.
Oh, wait a minute. I see share screen.
Why don't you try
let
it?
me- all right. Let me. All right. Share screen. Oh, you disabled my screen sharing.
Well,
Host
let me see if I
disabled.
can. Yeah, I don't see as an option. Well, I'll make you the host for a minute and that ought to do it, but then I'll have to take it back.
All right. Well, let me get the picture up first. Okay. Okay. All right. I have it on my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Ah. Okay. So, this is kind of an elevation drawing. And to kind of give you some reference, can you see my cursor too?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So over here, these are the existing walls. And there's a tree, and this is the house. So from the edge of this wall to the boundary is 46 feet long. Probably the last 10 feet of the property, you know, it's treed, it's stable. I don't think we have to do anything over there at all. In fact, my thought is to do as minimum as possible. Here are the stumps that are at the kind of at the top of that hill. And if you looked at that picture again, you can see that this kind of goes up, I think probably around where those trees existed, you know, whenever they did exist. You know, it's a little raised there, and then underneath those trees, it's kind of C-shaped. So my thought is to pull out those stumps and actually bring down the top of this banking a little bit and put the material that's kind of up here down in this area where it's kind of eroded out, which is right here underneath here. So to end up, right now, this is a very steep slope. What my goal would be to make the slope less steep and to have kind of a terraced thing going on and like a walkway, although this kind of shows a very straight path with a couple of stairs and turning. It would probably be more of like a meandering kind of go around here and up and maybe a step or two and then turn and a step or two and, you know, try to go around whatever is existing there now and come up to the top. So here is where those rocks are falling out. And that would be extended over and up. So that would hold this part of the bank up where it's kind of failing now. And here are some existing rhododendrons. Trying to see what else. There really isn't much in here. There's trees over here. We don't want to disturb any of the trees. And then planting, we can use jute to hold these bankings, you know, while we're trying to get plants to grow on the side. Right now, it's a lot of bamboo and bittersweet. I'd like to eradicate the bamboo and the bittersweet and put, you know, some other type of nicer looking vegetation along with trying to grow, maybe try to grow some of the wild blueberries from the lake along the shore. And that's the plan. And we, you know, we did on the original order of condition and the plan that you have that shows the house lot, we did move that silt fence. Well, actually, we added a second silt fence down along the shoreline to accommodate this work, which Mary saw when we did the pre-construction meeting, and then you saw the pictures of it that she just had there. So, yeah, so then this part will be a mortared wall, and then, you know, it's possible we might need to do a little, we might need to put a few more little walls in or something. I'm thinking like just loose stone or something minimal, and just stabilize. When we're done pulling these stumps out, I only expect like the middle part of this banking, and over here with there's some erosion over here, to really be disturbed, you know, where we would really have to put jute down to cover up the new soil that would be replaced there. That's kind of the thought that I have. I mean, we weren't going to do anything at all with this, but then it was pointed out that something needed to be done, and I'm like, well, if we're going to do something, I'd like to use that area as a nice little walkway and revegetate it into something a little nicer than what it is now.
So the end result would be, it would be terraced. Is that right?
Yeah.
Go up to the lower walkway, go up to the end, and then go up to another level, and then finally up to the top.
Yeah.
So does that walk end at the shore? It's hard to tell from this.
Well, it comes down, actually, this is still really above the shoreline. At the bottom of this wall, if you have a picture of that, if you can find that picture that you had of the wall area, there's, at the bottom of the wall, there's a wooden, what would you call it? Like a little wooden, almost like a little wooden retaining wall.
Yeah, it has flowers.
And they had,
It's just full of dirt for flowers.
Because here's what I'm trying to figure out.
okay.
Where's the
Well, I guess
So-
maybe there's, do you have a picture that's further left to that?
On the left of that, let me, maybe,
Well, all right, so go to that one you just had up, and maybe I can start from there.
I probably have some in another folder potentially, but
All right, well, I guess stop there. So in the bottom area here, right, it's a flat area. It was almost like a little walkway there. That's above the water line. If you go to so actually when it comes down the hill, it would be above the water line. And if you looked at a picture of the front of this wall, there's another wooden retaining wall, I guess you could call it, and the high water mark is right at that wood. So that would come down basically to that wooden area. So, and it's about
2
2 feet wide, I guess. Yeah, would be about, it's about 2 feet wide. So,
It's just showing the top here. I don't know, is this helpful, Linda? That
well, yeah, well, right now the water's so low that that's really out beyond the high water mark. I mean, that's,
So,
but,
It's in front of that wall, like here, straight down.
right, if you looked where this wall meets the lake, there's another little wooden wall that holds up like a little garden area. And that path would come down to that area.
so my concern, and the reason I was asking, is if you put in a path, you're sort of putting in a freeway for the water. And so I'm trying to figure out, when the water comes down that freeway, what's it washing out potentially? And it sounds like it ends up at a wooden wall with some dirt before it, probably.
Yes, it's basically what it does is it ends up at a wooden wall with dirt.
Yeah, so I'm concerned that it's gonna just move the problem down the hill a little bit. Because when I'm looking at these pictures, I'm imagining your walk sort of tracing what is now the erosion path. If you're talking about a meandering walk, right, you're kind of gonna trace the way the water has gone down that hill. And I'm just concerned that if you now make that stone, it's gonna follow that path pretty quickly and hit whatever's at the end of it. That's why I was asking.
Right, so the path, we can make that path out of like one of the materials with the crushed stone and the permeable pavers.
Yep. But I'm just
So that
thinking water's
water
still
hits,
gonna,
it won't run, it'll just go in.
well, I think the water's still gonna run pretty fast. That's a steep hill, isn't it?
Well, it's not, the walkway is not going, okay, so here's the erosion. So the walkway is actually gonna go not like straight down this path, it will go crisscross, and this area at the top, where those stumps are, will be removed, so it won't be that steep of a slope.
So Linda, you're
So
trying
I'm
to say
thinking-
it's going to be an improvement over, because right now the water must be going straight down like this. And so,
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm really, you know, the tough thing here too is that really, I really don't believe that water has created this erosion. I believe it's the dogs that have run down the hill at the easiest, you know, the easiest way that they can go. So they actually have created this path and really have, you know, maybe water follows it now. But so this very sharp, this is how they're going down now. But the new path that I'm thinking of would start up here, and it would come across. This bank would be less steep, let's say, less of a slope, and this path would come over here and then turn and go down. So it would be a lot more gradual with the terracing across it. What do you think? I don't know. I should have had Bill here.
Well, I know one thing, the land up top drains very, very fast because underneath the topsoil, it's almost gravel. Because when we removed all the concrete, I had run a hose up there and it goes right, it doesn't even puddle.
It's good
Yeah, I mean,
drainage.
it never floods in the biggest rains either, because I was wondering why it drains very well. It's almost like gravel. It's all round. It's all, even the rock down at the water, it's all that round rock, and that's basically what it is underneath the topsoil. It's all that round rock and just sand and stuff in between, and the water just goes right through it. Drains very fast.
So I think the walkway will be gradual. And if the sides of this banking are stabilized with jute material while we're revegetating it, and the pathway is made permeable.
Yeah, do you have an idea? Is it just going to be a dirt pathway? Or are you going to put like stepping stones or make it a little bit more formal? Or
Well, I think that if we want to make it so that, it's not going to be a channel for water to run, then the pathway needs to be, maybe crushed stone with some of that what do they call that? Permeable pavers. Yeah, and then, we were thinking of stepping stones to get up, the hill here and there. And, I don't want it to look like a V, like just like the drawing kind of, it's very simplistic. It's like a V. I want it to be more like a meandering path.
Yeah, I think at this point, probably what we need is another plan or drawing from you showing how you want it to be and what kind of surface it'll be, whether it's pavers or crushed stone, whatever you have in mind, so that we have a clear idea on paper of just what it is you plan to do. You would like
Okay,
to do.
and then and now I'm throwing this out to you guys, is what would you recommend? What materials or design do you think?
We do have flat stones, large flat stones that were in the yard from before, and I was thinking about just using those as steps, to, dig them in a little bit and use. So it'd be like a natural thing, just use a flat stone that was from the yard anyway.
I would be concerned about crushed stone because it could take a ride with the water. So I'd stick to something that's not going to get pushed around by the water. So flat stone, something bigger, like a paver or a stepping stone is what I would recommend, over something crushed.
Yeah, some of the flat stones that I have are probably,
Yeah, they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
right. They've been laying there for thousands of years, probably.
Yeah,
And they'll be there when you're not.
Right,
Yeah.
right. What we were planning on doing is, and if this works for you guys, the main idea is to try to get this garage built and to do that work that's on the other side. When the guy comes with the excavator, he was going to pull these stumps, and I'm wondering if I can let him pull those stumps and put jute down on that slope to stabilize it and make sure, it doesn't erode at all into the lake until, we have a better design. Would that be okay?
Mary,
if he removes the stumps now, you'd also have them lower the top level where those stumps are, so it's more of a straight line across the top of the slope. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yep. Yeah. And then what we could do is just cover that whole area with jute fabric so that it'll be stabilized.
And then would
know,
you,
and-
are you planning on, I'm just trying to think, so like that part, once you pull the stumps out, that's kind of above your path anyway. Would you go ahead and like seed it or put a few plantings in as well? Or you want to wait until you got the path figured out?
Well, the problem that really kind of we're going to run into is that all of the work that we're going to do down here for like a walkway or, you know, the stone and everything, that's all done by hand. It's not going to be done by any kind of machinery, obviously, because you can't really get them down there. And then, you know, we're running into winter. So, you know, the chances of us having this completed by winter are probably not too great. So what my thought was is if I can get the guy with the excavator to do the machine work here, and we stabilize this for the winter, you know, and then we can work on a good plan. And then they'll be able to work on the garage. I won't need to get a machine in there again. Once the garage foundation goes in, the access to that back, that banking and that back area is pretty much gone.
So, Mary, I don't know all that much about jute stabilization. Will that stabilize for the winter?
Yeah, I think that's one of our recommended means for the winter for a steep slope.
Yeah, because the other thing too is like even if you wanted to like hydro seed it, we're almost beyond the point of being able to do that because it's, you know, getting really cold.
Yeah.
I don't really want it to be grass in the end. I mean, maybe there'll be some spots with grass, but I really want to plant, like, I'd like to plant blueberries, maybe some of the crawling juniper. You know, I have some roadies over here. One of them will have to be moved. I want to try to make that like a little bit bigger area of rhododendrons and, you know, maybe some other ground covers that hopefully will do well on in, because it's mostly gravel, basically. The, you know, so more ground cover than grass. So I really wouldn't want to hydroseed it, but I'm thinking if we put jute on it, get it stabilized. And then as we work on it, we can do, you know, small areas, get it stabilized and planted and you know.
So you're asking it right now, you'd like to remove those two stumps, level off the top of the slope, stabilize it for the winter, and come back at a later time with a more complete description of what your plan is for the slope.
Yep, that would be perfect.
So what do you guys think about the jute cloth and another erosion control, or you think that's overkill?
Well,
Something closer
we have a
to
silt fence there. Is there a wattle in front of that?
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll stay there. I mean, that'll stay
Right.
there until the project's done.
I think if Mary, if you have an acceptable plan to stabilize the slope where the stumps have been removed that Mary agrees with, I personally, I think I'd be okay with that.
Were you going to say something, Mary?
Yeah, if you had just a little extra piece of wattle, maybe to run it along the bottom of where you disturbed. I know we talked, I was just realizing you didn't have a ton extra, but you were going to take some from the side and put it up here. It'd probably be a little bit more useful to just have along, you know, a 10 or 12 foot strip, however long it ends up being, just the wattle. You wouldn't have to necessarily put silt fence there.
Like an extra one, like really more like down here, you mean? In front of the one that's there.
Well, in between. So like once you pull these stumps out,
Yeah.
so that right at the bottom of where that disturbed area is, just run a little piece of wattle.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Maybe before we pull the stumps out, you mean, right?
Yeah, if it's not in the way, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
And then leave it there while the jute is there and while you're stabilizing, because that gives you double protection from losing that dirt.
right.
Yep. So Mary, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds fine. That sounds great. That's a great solution. If it was the spring, it'd be different because we'd have all summer to work on it. And,
Yep.
but I mean, at this point, we could have snow tomorrow. We could.
Well,
Although,
Say that.
I have to let you know, I water skied today.
A lot of people water ski today.
Yeah.
It was a crazy day.
well, it gives you more time to make a decision on what you want the pathway to be covered
Yeah.
with.
And actually, that will work out really good because once the stumps are gone, and I see the slope, like I was actually, reading up on how to make paths and all that kind of stuff. And you have to kind of be able to walk it, and see it and walk it. And until the stumps are moved, it's hard to see what you're going to have there. So that would work out really well. I think that's a great option. So we'll put another wattle down here and take the stumps out and get that hill stabilized. I think we got to, compress it as much as we can and then do the jute across anything that's been disturbed to hold it while we're designing it.
And do you have a spot for the excess soil? Or where you're going to use it, or?
If it's good topsoil, we can use it up top. We still have to excavate and everything for the garage. We haven't even dug the frost walls or anything like that. So once the excavator, once those guys show up, I'm sure that we can pile the dirt that we need, and we can actually put it where we have to go. So, the yard's limited on size too, so it's got a little bit of dirt there now that he's going to be using. So I don't know when he's coming. It's soon.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of extra dirt because
No.
when they pull those stumps out, I'm envisioning the top of that banking kind of filling the holes that have been made there on that hillside. Plus the stumps themselves, when they come out, are going to be a big, I know they pulled out one in the yard and they're old oak trees and they're big stumps. So that's going to take a lot of material away.
So it sounds like we're in agreement, Commission, that pulling the stumps is okay. And then stabilizing with jute cloth and adding an additional wattle. Are there any other concerns with that particular piece?
I'm good.
And that we'll expect a more detailed plan on the path and the plantings by when? What's reasonable for a time frame?
Well, I mean, once the snow hits, we'll have to stop work on that hill.
Yep.
So, it's not a rush from me, but if you tell me when you would like to see a plan, and then that'll give me a date, a deadline to be like, okay, you got to get this done. So,
Well,
you tell me.
it would be good if you can, get stuff done in the spring in the spring, because you don't
Yeah.
want it to be raw forever.
Right. No, I want it done. So, but let's just say before we're doing any substantive work, after we remove the stump, stabilize the hill with jute and an additional wattle, then we will not do anything else until we present a more detailed, thorough, thought-out plan, which we would want to do before spring, because once spring comes, we'd want to be working on it. So.
So,
And then you can, basically to do that, to submit it, it would just be emailing it to you to put on the next available meeting
yes,
as a discussion item.
yes.
Okay.
And so can we shoot for by the end of February?
Perfect.
That gives you time, holidays, dreaming
Yep.
about plants.
End of February. That sounds wonderful.
I like to put on a target date so that they don't go forgotten.
Right. Yep. And that's good for me because when I have a deadline, it's always easier for me to work and say, okay, I got to get it done, instead of like, oh, I can do that later. I can do that
Yeah,
later.
I'm the same way, and that gives you time to mess around between February and spring.
Yep.
We got a good look at all the stumps and maybe get it graded out a little bit.
Perfect.
Figure it out.
That's really,
Okay.
that's perfect for me. I have,
Sounds like a plan to me, too.
yeah, it sounds like a good plan. Sounds like a good plan.
So this is just a discussion item. We don't need to vote on anything, do we, Mary?
I was just wondering that. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. And once she has a plan, that plan would constitute a minor modification, and we would vote on that, I would say.
Okay,
Okay, we're good.
so we're no better off and no worse off, except there's a bit of a plan for some stumps and some erosion control.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Enjoy your dreaming of plants.
I will. Thank you.
Take care. All right. Everybody doing okay?
Good.
All right, so we're on to the extension for 12 Cross Court.
Yep. Deb Donaldson is here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I was coming to you guys is we were thinking about putting a garage on the other side of the house. So not near the water at all, on this side. And I don't really even know if it's going to be within 100 feet of the lake, because our property runs 180 feet and it would be more towards the roadside, not anywhere near the lakeside. But the thought was, if it ends up having, to go through the commission and all of that, which is fine, I would rather have my DEP number extended and just keep it available to me rather than having to start over from scratch. So that's really why I was coming through. Our 3 years on our other project was up in June, but as Mary said, since they're under a state of emergency, it really hasn't expired per se. So I was hoping to see if I need it. I'm not even sure if I need it or not. And I guess that's one other question I had was, who makes that determination of, like, is it when we get the building inspector to look at any plans that he tells us it has to go to the commission, or I'm not even sure. So that's my question.
Yeah, that's a question that I can answer for you, and we can look at it. I'm gonna pull up the GIS and look at your site here. Maybe we can tell just from that.
Yeah, because I did that myself too, and when I measured it out, that's how I know the lot's like 180 feet deep. And when I measure it out, it's, where the garage would start is just about 100 feet from the lake line. So I don't know, I don't know exactly what all the rules are, but I'd rather go through you guys and know what I'm doing is correct,
Yeah.
So if you look at that, the one you have there from where it says Cross Court, that's the roadside, right? And then you go down in the middle, that's our house right there. So the garage would be on the other side of the house, on the side by the road. So, and then the lake is all the way down at the bottom of that picture.
Okay, so what you're asking is, you'd like the extension, so your time doesn't run out. And once you have the extension, you still have some things to work out with the town about whether you can even do this.
Exactly.
But you'd like to make sure the paperwork is ready if you can.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if it was within the 100-foot, you would need to file an amendment, which is similar. It's almost the same, not quite, a little bit easier than filing a new NOI, but you still have to notify your butters and have a public hearing. And I don't know why the website, I can't get the town GIS to load
So
for some reason.
what's the state of the project now?
We're done with the project now. It was basically adding, there was a little addition to the house.
Yeah.
And, you know, so there wasn't a whole lot, a lot of what we did here was inside the house. So basically what it came, was just the addition to the house was really what we got approval for.
Were there some trees? A whole bunch
Yes,
of trees
some
that came
trees,
down
yeah,
too?
some trees were taken down, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that part was all done. So there's no more work on that original project being done. It's just that now we've started thinking about maybe we'll put a garage on the back, and I'm like, well, if we're gonna do that, you know, rather than starting from scratch, maybe we just get this extended, and then if we need it, I really think, who makes the determination on whether it's 100 feet? Is that the building? Because it's gonna be really close, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna, from our own measurements and from the GIS, it's gonna be like really close.
Well, so, yeah, I mean, if your garage is, and it's not just from the edge of the garage, it would be from the edge of, you know, where the work is. Like if you have to put a new foundation in, the excavator might need like a 10-foot area around that to kind of get in and do what he needs to do. So that's what we would be measuring from.
Right.
But yeah, it could be that you are, you know, kind of, you know, you might not need it. And that would be a determination that I could make, you know, with the measuring tape. If you had a pretty good plan of where it was going to go, or, you know, a good idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I don't know how you're going to use a measuring tape because we have a very steep slope. So you'd have to, with a measuring tape, you'd go up the slope and then across, and that would add even more footage. I think if you did that, we'd definitely be over 100 feet.
Okay, well, it is, I think it's actually horizontal feet, so we'd have to look at
right,
GIS or something.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking.
But to keep things sort of simple, it's really a request to extend the NOI.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I just know Mary had said, you know, you kind of needed to know what I was thinking, you know, why is there a reason for even extending it? But that's my reason.
right. Yeah, I sort of understand it. And given the state of things, I don't see an issue with it. Am I missing something here?
You know, I think the only thing to note is on one of our other projects recently, DEP made a comment that an amendment can't be larger than the original scope of the project. And I'm wondering if in this case, it might actually end up being, although if it's over 100 feet, then it wouldn't be.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
and if I have to go back and start over, I will, you know?
Yeah. So I guess I look at this from a very simplistic approach. We're really just saying, yep, you got some time to think about it and figure out what you want to do. And then we'll have to deal with whatever the details are of that project as they come to light.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds,
all
yeah.
Yeah, that's all I was asking for today.
Yeah, and you know, there is a state of emergency, and tomorrow, wouldn't that be nice if it went away? You don't know when it's going to go away, but this keeps your extension kind of alive for a little while.
Okay.
Mary, am I missing a downside?
No, I think it's fine. Yeah.
Can I ask one other question? How long does the extension go for? Because this work, if we do add this garage, it probably wouldn't be till spring at least, so.
Extensions are good for 3 years usually, so should be good amount of time.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I didn't know if they were shorter because it was just an extension. Okay.
So
I'm okay
does-
with it.
Does anyone want to make a motion? I think we need a motion for this one, right?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, we're on to emergency starts.
Oh, I think we have 11 Ernest Street, certificate of compliance.
Oh, I skipped that one, sorry.
And I believe we have Sarah on for that one. If she's paying attention.
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, great. Okay.
I don't know how to make the video work.
There you go.
Oh.
So let me just share my screen as I get it ready here. And probably you guys will remember this because I think you've been out there relatively recently. All right, so this was, this is a pretty old order of conditions that Stephen Balsowitz did. And it was for, mainly for these big, large retaining walls here. And then they redid the steps there. Is that correct, Sarah?
No, it's the other side we redid.
Oh, okay. Redid this side.
Yeah.
And then there was, you did some work on your deck and
Correct.
you have a sunroom and stuff like that. So there was,
Right.
so there was the original notice of intent, and then there was a whole bunch of things that an amendment covered, including like a little addition to the shed there and a whole bunch of small stuff. And all of that stuff looked pretty good. I did have some questions about the fence. Let me see if I can pull up the pictures. All right, yeah, and if you looked at my review, there's all their things that they were doing. Here's some pictures of the work. Oh, that's not the right one.
That's not our house.
Nope.
It's a picture of someone else's house.
Let's see. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. I wonder if the other pictures are here. Nope, no pictures. I have in my folder here, but that doesn't help you guys. I wonder if I emailed the right one out. Let's see if I can find it. Well, it may take a minute to find, but I think my main question, Sarah, was I noticed the fence, which is in front of the house. I'll bring up the plan again.
On the road, yeah, we're still working on that.
Yeah, so are you gonna pour some concrete, pour concrete for that, or are you gonna put dirt in there?
One post at a time.
Okay.
We didn't think we needed to finish that before asking for approval, since it's outside the 100 feet.
The
Yes,
part
okay.
along the side of the house is finished.
Right, that it is outside the 100 feet. I just did want the commission to know. So that I have a lovely new fence here. They got the fence in, but they're still working on putting dirt in the holes, right?
Right.
And then right in here, they had put a new retaining wall. And just this area back here, I noticed that it's just kind of a little bit dirt. Are you planning on planting grass, or is it just gonna?
Yeah, because, I have planted grass here, but it's like clay.
Okay.
So I put lime down and that's supposed to break it up. And I'll give it another shot.
Okay. So I did notice that the retaining walls, they do have the nice 3-inch gap everywhere. It's beautiful, actually. So this one here is, yeah, so they do have a small area that is not quite stabilized yet, but I guess they're working on it. The rest is, there's a retaining wall here and then the retaining wall there. It's lawn. Everything else looks really nice. And I hope I emailed you guys the right one. I might not have though. So.
And the permeable patio is done. That was the last thing.
Yes, and the patio is beautiful as well. So there are, those 2 tiny issues. I think the fence in front is out of the 100-foot zone. They're just not quite done with it. They have a couple holes that they need to fill. But so if you guys wanted to wait, you could, but I don't think that those are major issues.
It looks like it was quite the project.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I think I remember a number of visits.
Yeah, I think you guys have been there before.
Yeah. So what's everybody's flavor on this one? I'll use a Joe Kunkel. Anyone have concerns, questions?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Good.
I'm good.
All right.
And we did the 2 Cultex. We only had to do one, but then the other gutter by the garage wasn't going anywhere. So we did a Cultec over on that side as well.
So Mary, do we have an as-built?
I don't think it was required.
The
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I think it's with the building inspector. We did have them done, and I think he said he was delivering them to the building inspector.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can get a copy of that because he had to for the retaining wall is huge, so he had to do that for the retaining wall, right?
No,
Different guy.
Different guy. The Cultec guy did it the as-built.
Oh, okay.
Because we combined that with bringing in the water line from the street. So while we were digging, we had him do all of it.
Okay. All right. So supposedly the building department has the as-built, which they probably do. I'll see if I can get it from them, but if I can't, and it's not by BC, it'd be by someone else.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so would entertain a motion on this one if someone is feeling a motion.
I'll make the motion to issue the COC for 11 Ernest Street.
I'll second that.
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Great. So I will look for that as-built. It'll be useful for our record, but it wasn't required on the order of conditions, I don't think. So.
Okay.
Okey-doke. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. You're all set.
Thanks.
Do we want to go back and deal with 46 Bates Point?
Yeah, I think we should. He doesn't seem to be coming.
Does someone want to make a motion for 46 Bates Point?
What would you like a motion on?
To continue 46 Bates Point?
I make the motion to continue 46 Bates Point Road until November 9th meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
You're doing great, Michelle.
Oh, thanks. A lot of work. Joey owes me.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're at emergency certs. 29 Beacon.
Yeah. So they just need to be ratified because they've already been issued.
So do we have to do them one at a time or all three at once?
I think we can do all three at once, I would say.
So it's a motion. We need a motion to ratify the emergency certs.
I'll make
I'll
that
make the motion.
I'll second it then.
All right, Hayden,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes. So I don't feel comfortable talking through Loveland Road without having Mr. Wigglesworth with us. I'd like to put that one off. You have conflict of interest in open meeting law training on this list?
Yeah, Kelly, if you don't, I should have asked you to, do you happen to have the list of who still needs their stuff?
I do. I'm on it.
Robin needs a certificate.
Yeah, Robin does need a certificate,
Okay.
but Robin's been studying all that 103, 104.
Yeah.
So I can compete with Michelle someday. That's my goal in life at this point in life. I'm in awe of this woman's knowledge, given she had no stuff beforehand. So anyway.
And I think other than that,
Not gonna fit.
What? What did you say? I can't hear you. What did you say?
My head is no longer gonna fit in the picture.
For good reason. For good reason. No,
So
I
other
promise. When's the deadline? When is the deadline on this before I'm ousted from this group of people?
You've
I
passed
have very bad luck with volunteer organizations.
You have passed the deadline. Can we get a commitment for
The
next
next meeting. Yes, I promise.
Oh, how
okay?
about by the end of October, Robin? Let's
That's what I thought it was. I thought I had another week. You're all gonna go tattle on to Doug on me that I'm a delinquent.
Well, I think we have one more who's actually not here who might need a little nudging. So if anyone wants to text your esteemed chair that he needs to get his stuff in.
Oh, wow. So I'm in good company then.
I think we need some from Fred too.
Okay.
I get practical experience on the conflict of interest, okay?
Okay. All right, is there anything that you want to go over in your agent report?
I'll just pull it up for a few minutes here. Let's see if I can find it. This is not everything I did, but so we were out at I was out at Pattison, and he says he assures me he's going to pull the dirt back from his erosion controls very shortly. And then this
Remove
is
the whole pile.
yeah, it's huge. And this is the same site earlier this summer, stuff I had never reported to you guys, pictures from pre-construction meeting, and his erosion controls installed. He has a funny method. Anyway, wasn't the greatest, but. And that's 16 Pattison, and then also 19 Cedar Point. They put their well in. She still needs to fix her erosion controls, and the guy who put the well in, again, look at the silt fence there. It's in need of some help. So I need to talk to those guys, and these are pictures from earlier this summer. There's a lot of other stuff going on, kind of like Joey and I need to get these pictures to you guys. Joey and I were out at Aslan Drive, and we approved Kenny to widen the drainage channel there, which is actually a beautiful wetland, or had been a beautiful wetland. He's already done the work with full of cattails, but after more talks with the neighbors and Kenny convinced Joey that it really needed to be, and it is, you know, a drainage channel. It's kind of built in the subdivision. So they did clean it out. We'll try to get some pictures of that to you guys. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was kind of urgent. Yeah, I've been doing a bunch of pre-construction meetings and stuff like that. It's been busy.
Always busy, Mary. I don't think you've
Yeah.
ever said that it's not.
Yeah, it's true. I was just thinking maybe it's going to slow down soon when the snow starts flying.
And I know that there's revisit order of conditions, but that's a Joey thing, so.
Right, that was just kind of, they wanted to wrap the trees, and I just probably need to write up a sample condition for you guys and get it out. I did look at silt fence though, orange versus black.
Yeah.
And it seems like the orange is available, maybe slightly more expensive depending on where you get it from. And it's not quite as like the black, you can get it in all these different, you know, with the stakes, without the stakes, all this stuff. I think you have fewer options with the orange, but it is available. So I don't know whether you maybe want to save the orange for, you know, sites where things are, I don't know what the, you know, where it needs to be more visible, or, you know.
What I found funny, I mentioned it to someone who's currently got a project going on, and her immediate reaction was, "Oh my God, I'd have to look at orange fence."
I know, yeah. To be honest, that's how I would feel if it was looking out my window. The black is bad enough, you know. So.
But on the other hand, somebody might come through and get their certificate of compliance faster.
That's
Try to
true.
get things stabilized faster. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And do we have a date set for when we can have a meeting to talk about some policy things? I know last time I called it the wrong kind of meeting.
Oh, right. No, we do not. And
I know it depends on how busy we are with everything else.
yeah, I think I'm wondering if, well, things haven't been slowing down, but there is that we have a meeting scheduled right before Thanksgiving, that Monday. And of course, people might not like that meeting anyway. You might want to say, let's can it, but.
Right. Well, just two things that I think are important that we should discuss, and they're policies that we need to develop. One related to the timing of getting updated plans and information into our meetings.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I think we really need to put in place a policy for that tree limb / clearing folklore that's out there. If you remember, we were questioned on it.
Yes.
With the selectmen, and we've never really made that an official policy. And you know, my concerns are when we ask someone to plant a tree and it's 2-inch caliber, that conflicts with, you can cut down trees that are under 4 inches.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the two that I'm thinking of that I really would like to just get into a meeting for a discussion on those to figure out how we can make them policies.
And that's a good idea anyway, because yeah, we were asked by the Loveland, 33 Loveland, you know, what our tree policy was, and we didn't really have one. So yeah.
I don't know if this is a discussion, but like tonight, I have a problem. Given we're doing Zoom and given we can call by phone, I just don't think there should be issues with quorum. Could we kind of make a little more insistent that, I know there, you know, I've got a plan to go to Australia next summer. And clearly I'm not going to be on the line then, but I just think that we've really got to, you know, make this a non-issue.
Yeah, thankfully it's been good for a while.
Yeah, it has been, but
And the
that's
other
what,
thing with quorum, which maybe Robin and Hayden, you may not realize, is that like if you happen to miss a meeting and it's one of those long extended one like Cudworth, that means you actually can't vote on it just because you've missed one meeting.
because you can have, okay, the nights that I have to work, I can actually I can cut my patients short to make sure I can be on the phone or in a car. I think we should have some, it's really not, that was some of the conservation's, I don't know, people who are, consistently negative. That was a very valid point. People are waiting for their permission to get going on building. I mean, the builders are waiting, the resident is waiting. And I just think like at least it's how it's been with COVID. It's made an avenue that we should be able to communicate, even if it's a little bit convenient, that we always have a quorum, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that would be, yeah.
I mean, that was a legitimate, constructive criticism, which I'm big on, to make things better for everybody, make less, negative about us. So, I think we should discuss that and how we can make it that even if it's tight, that someone can get on the phone, and especially when somebody's really waiting for an okay.
Yeah, I think it's actually been quite a long time since we've had to worry about a quorum. But yeah, there were times that we were worried all the time over a year ago. So, so yeah, I really appreciate everyone. I think everyone lately has been very good about making the meetings, and with the exception of Clarissa, everyone's been doing a great job. Joey has a work conflict tonight, which he actually had found a sub, but then the sub fell through. So he tried.
Well, yeah, I mean, we did make it, but there was one night that I could tell somebody was getting testy, and I didn't blame him.
Right.
His job depends on it. This is volunteer for us, and it's a very important volunteer job, but, the builder, I mean, I'm not condemning realtors or builders. That's how they make a living, and that's how they feed their families. So I think we should have a discussion on it anyway, and how, let's talk about how easy it could be to put the phone on in the car or in your office, or, break away, at least, I don't know if we could do for the discussions, but at least for the RDAs and the NOIs. So if someone can't make, a meeting, they can at least make those important decisions.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
All right.
If you could put that on the agenda of that evening when we're discussing policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we thinking about adjourning? Does somebody feel the motion?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Quick. That was quick, Hayden.
It's been a long day, guys.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, stay safe, everybody.
Thanks.
All right.
Everybody take care.
Thanks, guys.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.